You cannot learn how to fail from a classroom. But startups is one good thing which enables you to learn how to fail.
We reaches a state whether we have to decide between taking our responsibilities in the family or going with the career.
So it's not always that you have to be an entrepreneur to be an entrepreneur. If you have a right entrepreneurial spirit, you can be an intrapreneur, if you have heard of that term, and still contribute in decision making and be at the helm of the company.
Yes, good morning everyone. So hope you are enjoying the entire event. So it started with a very good session. So now we are moving to a very valuable topic, Kerala startup ecosystem, where we are headed. We have 3 proven entrepreneurs who build different brands, different companies across different sectors. So we'll start with Mr. Ramees Ali. He was working in education sector for a long time. He was interacting with many students and parents. Now we have a huge crowd of students, especially in high school, higher secondary and college level. So we'll start with a very basic question. How will you define a startup to a 15-year-old boy or girl? And who should start a startup?
Hi all. The first question itself is a very philosophical one where I can tell you a lot of punchlines, I think. To be honest, a startup is not about starting a company and making a lot of money or making a lot of wealth. It's all about identifying a problem which should be solved and getting some benefits out of it. So startup is all about solving problems. Startup is all about a kind of mentality where you learn to build, you learn to fail, you learn a lot of things which you cannot learn from any curriculum or any school or any textbooks. So basically startup is all about a mentality, and startup is always about solving problems. That's the kind of definition I would like to tell you.
Then who should start it?
Anyone who identifies a problem can start it actually. Basically, it's not about starting to start, but identifying a problem that you feel which should be solved. So I started Interval while I was in college. It was back in 2018. I was in the second year of my second year in my law school. I actually went to law school. It's like a typical Indian story. I went to PC Thomas in Thrissur for NEET coaching. Then I went to Pala and Calicut Race for JE coaching, JE entrance coaching, and then ended up in a law school and now doing business. Yeah, that's a very usual story, very, very common story. You will identify it very soon. But while I was in college, I used to teach kids, not only kids, even I used to tutor engineering students who had backlogs and even plus 1, plus 2 students around organic chemistry and mathematics. So that was my topics. So what I really felt is that most of the students, especially in mathematics, who have problems to solve or who have problems with pace of doing problems or solving problems, was actually mapped to their childhood. So I will take a story out of it. I had a kid called Kiran. He was in class 6 when I met him. He was actually having problem with maths teachers. He used to switch schools because he did not like his maths teachers. So that was the problem he and his parents faced. He was not in India actually. He was studying in Abu Dhabi and some part in Sharjah also, some years in Sharjah. So the real problem was that he did not like mathematics teachers because he never scored good marks in maths. He never scored in maths because he never knew how to do the multiplication. That was the whole problem. And he actually skipped some few lessons while he was in class 2nd or 3rd. So since he did not understand the fundamentals of multiplication, actually division was difficult. So if both multiplication and division is difficult, you know how the other mathematics chapters would look like. So that was the problem with the kid. So if the teacher or the parent, it's not only about the teacher, the parents should also have understood that, or try to find the real problem. If they had tried or solved the problem in the early days itself, the kid would not have to change schools every year. So what I really understood that for every kid who irrespective of their marks or irrespective of their performance lacks some kind of personalization or some kind of care in a traditional classroom setting where teacher used to take care of 30 to 40 students in a classroom. We can't blame teachers because especially in South Kerala and all, the student tutor ratio is like very big problem. So I realized that this is a big problem. Every kid deserves a kind of care and attention for him or for her to excel in their academics. So that's how I started a personalized learning platform where every kid gets a teacher who understands the real problem of the kid, or who can help the kid in every way, in a 360 way, I would say. So that's why I started Interval while I was in college. So it was never about starting a business to make money or wealth. I had hundreds of kids around me. I wanted to create a real impact. I wanted to contribute to their academic performance. I wanted to help them to achieve their dreams, which can only be done through personalization and personalized care. That's why I started Interval, and now Interval serves across 60 plus countries with more than 18,000 teachers. That's it.
Yeah. So to summarize it, solve some problems, find a solution, and start it as a business. So
It's more about empathy actually. I started Interval because I could feel the real problem with the people in front of me. So students were the people who were sitting in front of me. So I really understood the problem because I was empathetic to them. So if you are empathetic to people, if you are really willing to understand the problems faced by the common people around you, you can identify a hell lot of problems in our society. You try to solve it, you will have a desperate passion to solve such problems. Once you try to solve it and you find a solution, a startup gets born.
yeah, so always if you're seeing a social problem, if you have a solution for that, if you have that eagerness to solve that, there is a huge opportunity for that. So when we come to Nimisha, she already solved such a problem. You made the digital marketing easier for people in rural areas and village areas. So you're also solving one problem. That's the core philosophy of your business. So once we identify a problem and we have a solution for that, then what are the next steps that we can take to start our startup?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here in front of all these young minds. So I completely agree with what Ramees was just saying, that the startup is all about solving a problem. But we have to think in a way like how we can solve the problem for others also. There are two ways of solving the problem. One way is that I solve it for myself. Second way is that I think about how can I solve it for the people around me who is facing the same problem as well. If I say about Acemoney, my company, we started in 2020. 2020, you all know that it was a peak pandemic time when everybody was locked in at home, and nobody was able to go out, especially the banking transactions took a major hit that time. Because people could not go out of their houses. They were in need of cash, but they were not able to go to the ATMs because it was the most less sanitized places. So that time, Acemoney was born from that crisis, from the critical situation where I had a personal experience. I was sitting at my home and I was in need of some physical money. But I had my kid who was just 3 years old then. I cannot take him and go to the ATM to get my money withdrawn. So I was thinking, evening I was just telling my husband that, okay, we have to take some money and keep it at our home because we don't know when the real need of cash comes. So he just asked me one thing, okay, today you had a need of physical money, you didn't have it. The solution to my problem is that I go to the ATM, withdraw the cash, keep it in my purse. It can solve my problem. But how can the people who is facing this similar problem, how can we solve this problem for everyone around you? And that is how Acemoney was born. We started with a product called Doorstep ATM service. Like you order Swiggy or Zomato, it delivers food at your doorstep. we deliver money at the doorstep of the customer. That was the beginning. So when this idea came, okay, the next step, you were asking about the next step after we get an idea. It is for different sectors, the challenges will be in different way. For our sector, since we were into financial sector, every time the first problem is how do we convince other people to use our products. Once we have an idea, we create a small POC for it, and then when we model it, and the next step is how do we make people convince and use our services or the products. So that is when the trust is an important matter. So for the trust to come, I was listening to the earlier session here. So he was telling, with all the examples and slides, he was clearly explaining it. We have to make people understand why is it important for them. They should have a feel that, okay, if the solution was not there, what I would have done. So to convince the people to exactly, if I say we have to make that story, storytelling is very important. Convincing of a first customer is always very difficult, very a Herculean task. Once we have proved it, it becomes then little bit, the steps becomes much easier. So that is what I...
It's wonderful. Like once we have a solution, that taking the first step is the first hurdle. So once we get into that, then the next things will follow us. So Deepu, you are working in the AI and tech space for a long time. You are an AI expert and tech expert to say. But when I ask the audience, they may be using these AI tools, maybe ChatGPT or Gemini to do the homeworks or assignments. Beyond that, many are not that much aware about the scope of AI, what is meant by AI. So beyond these LLMs, beyond this ChatGPT and Gemini, there is a huge space out there where a builder can use. So what do you think where this space is going and how these people who wants to build something can use that space?
Okay, good morning. So that's a good question because earlier I remember that since you said that I've been working on the AI front, I remember my first talk on AI, a public talk on AI, was in 2016 if I remember. And I was talking in Bangalore on Eclipse Summit if I remember. And I still remember the example that I was showing. I used to work with Oracle at that time. So the first example that I showed during that talk was the cat is sleeping and it is on a mat. It's a very simple statement, right? And at that time, I was very proud to show that this NLP, and how many of you heard of NLP, natural language processing? Great. And that these kids are in school, and I never heard about this at that time, believe me, right? Okay, so at that time, when I was talking about NLP and I had the sentence, the cat is sleeping and it is on a mat. For me, identifying when I say it refers to a cat, right? And that's a very common human knowledge. But how will a program understand that? And that was the whole point of tokenization or, natural language processing or programming, or however you want to call it. And at that time, it was a great achievement to have a program identify that it refers to a cat. Very simple thing. But now, if you want to make such a program or such a logic with the OpenAIs and the Claude and the Gemini, how much time it might take for a school kid, right? It's easy to do it, isn't it? Very easy to do it. So that is the way in which the AI has evolved over the last 10 years. At that time, I was in my 30s, and I felt proud to do that small program in natural language. And now a school kid can do it just like this. And that is the opportunity that you have in front of you. For example, like Nimisha and Ramesh was talking about problem statement, right? Suppose you see a problem statement like, for example, I think that is what matters rather than going into the go-to-market and the sales strategy and all those things. For, I think, people like you, kids, identifying the problem, empathizing with the problem, owning the problem, solving the problem, convincing the problem, that matters a lot. That's the reason I think we all three are focusing on that, the term problem for that matter. Suppose you have a problem like, once you're out of the school, you're very thirsty, your water bottle is empty. What will you do? You have to buy some juice or something on the way back, right? Now, how can you think about, okay, can I solve this problem and maybe put a lemonade stand in front of my school? And that's a potential business opportunity for, if you can think about that. Now, if I were thinking about this in my school days, I would have just left it there. I would say, okay, I can probably set up a store my parents won't allow, done, period, stop. But you can go an extra mile. You can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Claude or Gemini and say that, hey, I am a 9th standard student or a 7th standard student. I want to set up a business like this. What are the things that I should know? What are the problems that I might face? How much money I need to ask my parents for that? What is the modality in which I can execute it? You ask all these questions. Will you get a proper answer? Yes, right? So, now connecting all the points that both Ramees and Nimisha were saying, if you have a problem, finding a proper solution to the problem, how to approach the problem, how to solve it, how to execute it, and even to the extent of how to monetize that. When I monetize, we are talking about making money, right? End of the day, business is all about solving problem and making money. Simple as that. So getting some money from somebody else's pocket and putting it in my pocket is business. And that's not easy. You have to give something back in an acceptable format. So to answer your question, I think it's all about how they can use LLM or how can they use the AI in front of them is how to take things to the next level rather than just being aware and consuming it and just sleeping on it. Rather than that, take it to the next stage and execute it and you have everything in front. I mean, for example, we were a part of the jury yesterday for the national finals. I mean, it's like we 4 of us were there. What we exactly told is we should be ashamed of ourselves with the way kids were, doing it. And I can be 100% sure every single team has used AI to the best of it. And that's, otherwise they wouldn't have done that, right? So I think it's all about take your dream, take the problem to the next stage, and that is where you should use AI, and that's how I would leave it.
Yeah, so the tech space is getting more democratized or more easy to assess. So the only thing is how we can explore it and how we can use it for a particular problem.
Yeah. So I'll just add one more thing. So earlier when you said about startup, technology was the moat. So when I say moat, it was a differentiator. You build a brilliant technology, that means you have a good product. But now technology is so democratic that anybody can build it. A 9th standard or 10th standard can just build a product. I mean, just like that you have lovable, famous.ai or you use Gemini, Cloud or whatever. You can build it. But what matters is, do you own that problem? Do you empathize with them, right? And you take it to the next stage, and that is where this AI should help you.
Exactly. So if we take 5 or 10 years back, when we say about a tech startup, we used to think we have to go to Bangalore or some other cities to create it, to get that environment. But nowadays, when we conduct one pitch event in Kerala, an entrepreneurship event in Kerala, even students and the youngsters are coming with a promising tech startups within the Kerala itself. So, Ramees, you started your first startup in Arikod, which can be considered as a tier 3 or 4 city. Now you are building in Kochi, which is a tier 2 city. So you are a person who used different cities for building different startups, and you explore the Kerala ecosystem as well. So what do you think? Should we go outside for building a tech startup in this era, or how is the potential in Kerala market?
That actually depends upon what we are building. Maybe 5 years earlier or maybe 5 to 10 years before, Kerala was not a good space for deep tech or any AI platforms. Everyone used to go to Bangalore to build it. But right today, we can build anything from Kerala. So, and again, if you are into manufacturing, it's very hard to build it from Kerala. You'll have to go to places where there are large manufacturing units or maybe land kind of resources are available. That should be prioritized. But when talking to students like you, at the early stage or while trying to build something or trying to start a startup, it's not about the resources. So resources are needed, which can be sorted in many things. But to start with, fundamentally, it's again about mentality. So, and again, I don't think this kind of discussion is not going to work, like most of the students are not listening. So I'll have to become a teacher again and ask you some questions to get your attention, I think. So I would like to start with why, the question is to everyone, why do you think you are sitting here, or why these teachers brought you here? Do anyone have any answer? Or why do you think you are sitting here today? Brilliant. Great answer. Give a big round of applause. He is the first one to stand up from you. So I will give you one answer from a student POV, which I feel is the right reason why teachers brought you here. There is something which teachers cannot teach you in a classroom, but they can teach you right at this venue. What is it? What would you think? Yeah, exposure is one answer, but my answer would be experience about what? What kind of experience? Like how to build. Exactly. And there is one additional point which I would like to tell. You cannot learn how to fail from a classroom. But startups is one good thing which enables you to learn how to fail. So would any teacher tell you that, okay, next exam, some of you have to fail so that you can learn from failure. Failure is the biggest lesson. Will any teachers tell you that? No, but everyone still says that failure is the biggest lesson, right? Why would they say that? Why is failure the biggest lesson? What is so good with failure? Yes. Yes. Failure has one characteristic. That is, failure is very expensive. So what happens? Something is very expensive. You won't forget the lesson. So startups give you lessons that are very fundamentals to do any kind of profession or any kind of job, or it prepares you like anything. So that is one good thing about startups. It enables you to learn how to fail. So let's assume that you have learned to fail. What is next thing that contributes to you? That's a great answer again. Any other answer? Yeah, you have learned a lesson. Let's assume that. What is next? You will learn how to learn from failure. So, I think most of the students, like I have catered to more than 1 lakh students in my journey with Interval. What I really understood is that most of the students know what to learn, but they don't know how to learn. So how to learn is one fundamental skill that will enable you into your future. I cannot tell you 5 top courses that is going to bring you the bright future. I can't tell it because that is how current world is experiencing with all these AI and ML, all these deep tech things. I can't suggest you a course that is going to make you wealth or going to make you rich or going to make you a great career. I can't suggest something, or I can't suggest a college. I can't suggest a profession that you should pursue. I don't know what kind of profession will be there after 5 to 10 years. But the only thing that you can learn right now is 2 things. One, how to learn, and then what to build. Those are the 2 things you should learn. So I think that is the fundamental reason why your teachers brought you here. You should know how to fail. You should acquire the ability to fail. You should have the mentality to accept the failure, and you should know how to learn from it. You should know how to learn. That is the fundamental skill you need. So if you have the ability that enables you to how to learn or understands how to learn things, then you can learn anything at any point of your lifetime. So let's say, as again from my story, I told you that I was not a law aspirant. I wanted to become a doctor. Later I understood that I don't have the skill set, and I tried to become an engineer. Later I understood that engineering is not going to give me a great career, and I went to law school. From the first year of my law school, I realized that my passion is not in creating arguments or winning the cases. It's about solving problems. So that's how I did business. So I know how to learn things when I really understood what I really needed. So if you know how to learn, that is the greatest ability or greatest skill that you can acquire. And now coming to the question, the only skill or only resource you need is the mentality. So if you have the right mentality, you have the ability to learn, you can do wonders, you can build anything from any part of India because you know how to solve it, you know how to learn it. You will go to Bangalore, you will go to SF, you will go to Dubai, you will go to any part of the world and you will sort it out. So I went to Finland just to create a course or just to identify what would be the causes that enables kids to reduce their screen time. I went to Finland. I took a residence visa. I took a Schengen visa. Then I later got a resident visa, and I was in Finland for a more time. And I actually created a course which actually teaches kids aged 2.5 to 6 in cooking. So I used to teach cooking. I used to give cooking lessons through my platform to kids aged 2.5 to 6 to reduce their screen time. So I cannot build such a course from Kerala. I cannot build such a course from my village, which is a very rural space in Malabar part or northern part of Kerala. I can never do that. So I went to Finland because I know how to how to solve that problem, how to learn things from such kind of scenarios. So I think the only resource you need is the mentality and ability to learn. If you have the ability to learn, unlearn and relearn, there is a saying, there is a punchline which says that illiterate of the future are not those who cannot read or write. Those are the persons who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. So that is the kind of mentality you need in the current days. So if you have that kind of resources with you, you can build anything from any part of the world.
Yeah, that was a great point for you. So can I ask you one question? How many of you want to start up in your future? You can raise up. Okay, there are a lot of people. Anybody started working on your startup? It's very few. Then what's holding your that ambition? Is it the fear of failing, what he just mentioned? Is it right? Any other concerns? Sorry, school. Okay. Any other concerns? Studies. So you are not getting time along with your studies. Is that? Lack of time. Okay. So once we complete one standard, like for example 8th standard, 9th, 10th and all, we'll pass all the exams, right? And we will move to the next class and next and next. So once you complete your degree, the next choice is whether you should go for a job or an entrepreneurship or something, your own business or something like that. How many of you want to go for a job? So there are few people who don't want to start your own startup and doesn't want to go for a job. Then what others are going to do? I don't know. Is it whether you'll sit in the home or something? So if you are planning to start your own business or start your career, you should understand in the next 10 years which kind of industries are going to boom. We are hearing a lot of things. AI is coming and many industries will go out and new jobs will create. So you should have that idea like which kind of jobs are going to create, which kind of industries are going to boom. Deepu is working in that area, like he's working on hiring and recruitment kind of platforms, and he's in contact with a lot of companies, especially the key decision makers. So from his experience, he can give you a brief idea like which areas are going to boom, where you can focus, at least the sectors where you can focus, and which areas are going to diminish.
It's a very difficult question. Even Ramesh and I, we were discussing it right before this discussion. But again, see, end of the day, it's not about which domain is good, which domain is bad. If you're good at what you're doing, that's a good domain. For example, I would say that now we know the AI is booming. It will keep on booming, and then there will be a point where it will have to plateau out. It will be stagnant, and that is not because of the opportunity, but because of the infrastructure, right? You heard about the semiconductor-based technologies and all those things. Now, after that, the quantum leap will happen. So this is bound to go exponentially high at a much faster pace than we can think. So from that perspective, electronics is going to be a good area. But again, suppose I don't like electronics itself, but the industry is focusing on electronics. Is there any point in going in that direction as a career? No, right. I would say that, say, creative arts like acting or cooking or all those things are going to boom, but you don't have a flair for that. Will you take that career as an option? So I think the answer lies in what is that you would love to do. Again, just going back, some students, showed their hands for entrepreneurship. Some showed their hand for employment. That also doesn't matter, because I'll take one classic example on HCL Technologies. There was an employee in HCL Technologies. His name was Vineet Nair. Anybody have heard about him, Vineet Nair? He was the CEO of HCL Technologies later on. He joined as one student, very good. So he joined as an employee right after his XLRI MBA. He was an employee, but he resigned as the CEO of that company. So it's not always that you have to be an entrepreneur to be an entrepreneur. If you have a right entrepreneurial spirit, you can be an intrapreneur, if you have heard of that term, and still contribute in decision making and be at the helm of the company. So now that being said, to precisely answer a question which I don't know the answer, like which domain is going to be the domain of choice in the years to come, but I would say you should learn how to use the AI tools effectively. Like in whichever domain you are in, whether you are in biology or in any medical science or in engineering sciences or in mathematics or any R&D for that matter, whatever be the case, you should know how to use the AI tools to be more productive, right? But again, you shouldn't use AI too much while you're studying the basics. I mean, it may sound why, I'll give an example also. How many of you are below 9th standard here? Are you allowed to use calculator in your class for maths? Why? It's very easy, right? You can, put down the hands. It's okay. So it's very easy to do the maths, right? If I have to say 45 square, what is 45 square? 2025, good. But if I say 48 into 44, it takes time. You need a calculator if you want to give a quick answer. Then why are you not using that in school? Because the basics has to be set before you start using the tools. So a very similar way, AI also, it is good beyond a point, but when you are learning the basics, like use it for extra knowledge, use it for that additional information. But once you cross that 11th standard, 12th standard, you are allowed to use scientific calculator, right? Because you are solving much bigger problems at that time. It doesn't matter whether this 47 into 48 or 97 into 98, what is that? It doesn't matter. Because you are solving bigger problems. Similarly, whichever domain you want to go in, AI is there to support you, and that will be the base knowledge that you will have. Again, something which you want to avoid might be the manual things, like something which is a pure text output or pure voice output, like all the BPO jobs for that matter. That is not going to stay for sure, 101%. But wherever there is that customer empathy, wherever the communication, the tone, the personal connection that is required, your domain knowledge that is required, there I would say you have a fantastic career ahead of you. But you should know how to use the AI tools. So I would say there is nothing like what is the best option.
It's a gray area.
It's a gray area purely based on the student's interest. True. I can say electronics is good. I can say computer science with a core AI knowledge is good. It's all good, but I don't know. I mean,
the way of doing will change, right?
That will change, yeah. And the amount of work that you will do will change. The way you execute that will change.
The way of using talents as well, yeah. Yes. Recently, we had an event called Young CEO. Like it was a program similar to Shark Tank for Kerala students, especially. When we asked that question, why are you not starting something now? The main answer was like they don't have time. They have a lot of things to study. But all of the contestants in that show were school students. They were started their startup idea from at the age of when they were in the 5th standard or 7th standard. Then they nurtured, and they are going to hit into the market. So there are a few things which you can start now, maybe not in a full-fledged, but learning phase you can start now, because everything is available in YouTube and many other courses, and a lot of session recordings, master classes, everything is available online. So there are few things you can start now to add values to your idea. Maybe Nimisha can put some light on as a student, which areas they can start, maybe a self-learning part or some other parts.
Yeah, so most of you were telling that you are not able to start a company now because you have a lot to learn. So I just want to Yeah, I just want to break that myth. If you are planning to start a company, it's lifelong learning. There is no point where you can stop your learning and start building a company. So, and also we might have heard in many interviews that many leaders like Mark Zuckerberg or many leaders, we might have heard that they are dropped out from college and then started their own business and became a very a big successful entrepreneurs. So you will start thinking, okay, I will also, even though I'm not studying and I'm dropped out of my college, I can start something. It is not that, not, you have to think from where they have dropped out, okay? You know from where Mark Zuckerberg have been dropped out of college? Which college? Oxford or Cambridge or that kind of colleges they are getting dropped out, okay? To reach there, the level of their intelligence and the level of their networking to reach there is that. Seeing all these stories, sometimes we think, okay, I'm dropped out of my parallel college, I can start my own thing and build it. It is not that everybody are not able to do that. Learning and education is the base always. You should always focus on that and later think. And continuous learning is very important when we are building something. We should keep ourselves updated, upgraded. As I told you, I started with bringing ATM to doorstep. But I know that in future, will not be there because we are all changing to digital cash. Now we don't carry cash with us, right? Then what is the relevance of bringing ATM to home after 10 years? So I must think about what is the future, okay, where I'm going to, what is the next step I have to take. For that, we should always have a continuous learning process, and that is why in my company, what we have done is, we had many versions of digital payments as well, like we are integrated with QR code. And the latest product, one of the product which we launched was wearable rings, where the ring you wear can make payment for you. Just go tap in the POS machine, tap and make the payment. Payment it is done for you. So continuous innovation is required. Right now, if you are asking me like what you can start, I would say let's start listening to some stories of people who have built it. Now it is the age that you will be a little bit interested in listening to stories and then understanding. Learn from the people who have actually experienced things, start listening to the stories, learn from them and then find your way. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So, not having time is an excuse. Like there are a lot of opportunities that you can explore. So, I have one fancy question for all of you. Like, if you were in this age, or if you are in this age, so what will you do if you have an opportunity to go back and do something? Maybe you can think like they will also in that excitement to hear that answer.
Teachers may hate me for answering to this question. I was a very serious student. I used to score very good marks in school. I used to learn, but still I used to perform. So that is the word I would like to say. So learning things and performing and scoring marks are two different things. I used to learn things, I used to perform. So one change which I would make would be around this performance. I would have never tried to become rank one or score as many as I can and beat my friends in every classes. I used to be rank one till class 10th. Then my parents and teachers said that he's kind of brilliant. He have to go to some boarding school and learn from there. Then I went to Thrissur. I got admitted into a school called IES Public School. So I learned there. But later, after all this point, I realized that that kind of performance was never needed. I could have used my energy for better things. So that would be one change which I would make. I still would learn, but I would never have focused on performing.
I would say that I would go back to my parents and say that, see, my interest is in something else, not just bookish learning or anything. Now I think they have the freedom to say it, but back in that time we didn't have that freedom. It was always learning. I mean, study this, study that, get marks. So I think that age is gone. But if I where to be in their age now, that is what I would do.
Again, some of the teachers may hate me for that, but given a chance, as a student, if I had an option to choose the subjects that I want to really focus on, I would have opted that, because there are a few subjects which I found like it was too hectic for me, and due to which I think I lost a lot of energy and focus. So if there is an option for me to choose, how many of you believe that you need an option to choose your subjects? See, and I mean they are also thinking like me then. So yeah, I think that is what I would do, just like how we have it in college, right?
Okay, I think it resonates with all of us. Okay, we have a lot of teachers as well here, not only students. So maybe students will have a lot of limitations to change the system and everything, but teachers, especially the decision makers of schools and all colleges, they will have certain power with them to change the system or to implement at least new things in their college or schools. That's going to make some big changes in the entire life of all the students in that particular institution. So if we can, from the experience, from the industry experience and startup experience which we all have, so if we can suggest few sessions that can implement in the schools, so that our youngsters will get a lot of benefits out of that. So what we can suggest?
I think I remember seeing one, APJ Abdul Kalam's, there was a speech where he was saying that if there are, say, 7 periods in a class, let's have 5, and the remaining 1 or 2 focus on skill building. So there I would say, again, just resonating or going back to the same thing that I said earlier, might be some subjects that we really love to study, right? It could be mathematics, it could be physics, it could be entrepreneurship, it could be anything which is very close to you. And now if we have a system where that 1 period per day is dedicated to that club, or create a small club, okay, mathematics club or physics club, and focus on real problem around that, how you solve that problem with that particular skill. So I would say, given an option, build something which is very much close to that student, focus on that and see how you can apply that into the real world. So I would say that if such a thing exists, then students will feel every day they'll be looking forward to that particular period. Like
They
we used to
need
look
more
at
experiential learning.
experiential learning and something which is close to them. Like for us, it was all the PT period. And that was all that we always used to look forward to. Similarly, there is something which, if it is there, I think it would be good.
If we can make more practical learning activities oriented and solving problems.
Solving problems, real skill building. The kid is 10 standard pass with X percentage, and that skill, X percentage scoring in that skill or proficiency in the skill. I think that way. More vocational, I would say.
So Ramesh, when we say about skill, you are saying you are performing at that age. So performing means at least the marks. Marks are the criteria for evaluating any students. But along with marks, the soft skills, the leadership skill, communication skill, all these skills are very important for a founder to survive. But these kind of soft skills can't build in 1 day, 2 day, or 1 month or 2. It's a gradual process. So how you see the importance of soft skill for a founder?
So soft skills are the basic fundamentals like every startup founder would need. But like clubbing the answer to the earlier question, I would say there are 2 things which I would like to propose, one on the legislative layer or one on the executive layer for the teachers. For the teachers, I would say you should give a space to experiment. So the ability to experiment is the much needed skill for any startup founder. So when I say or when I propose a space for experimentation, that is not about a lab or a tech lab or anything. The kid should have a freedom or liberty to experiment anything which comes to their mind or brain. So that is the kind of thing which I would propose in the executive layer. And in the legislative layer, this is like kind of my own perspective, my own POV. I would say from very early stage to till class 12th, like every class should have X percentage of students failing the exams or like not completing the course. Like all the students know how to score marks, everyone know how to become success, like they know the pathway, but none of them know how to compete and fail or how to handle with failure. So when I talk to young founders, like youngsters who are in between like 18 to 23, most of them are not starting because they are not ready to fail. They have a fear of failure. So kids should not have the fear of failure. It's okay to fail. It's okay to win. those are like two sides of a coin. So once a coin is flipped, there are 50-50% probability that it can either be heads or tails. In a similar way, for everything there is a failure perspective and a successful perspective. But right now the system only teaches them about success and how to become success and how to handle success and only portray successful images to them. So I would say on a policy level, there should be something that enables them to fail and learn how to fail, or maybe live with the failures. So that is the kind of things that should be provided to kids in school level, I think.
Yeah. So we are about to wind up our discussion with the last question to Nimisha. Like, you are a woman entrepreneur. There are a lot of girls out there who wants to start their own business or a startup. So what's the one advice that you can give them and which they can start from now?
Yeah, so gone are the times when this women entrepreneurs were seen as an exemption. Now everybody is seeing us as an example. So if I'm sitting here today, one of the factors which made me sit here is completely because I'm a woman who is running a company. So entrepreneurship is always, once we taste it, I'm sure everybody will agree to that. Once we taste it, it is a very wonderful world to be. So being a woman, we get a lot of additional advantages being an entrepreneur. Like maybe they might not realize now, but at a later stage when they are at their jobs and at their building their careers, there are points where it becomes very much, we reaches a state whether we have to decide between taking our responsibilities at the family or going with the career. So at such points, it is very much, I'm very happy to say that if you are an entrepreneur, the decision making becomes easy. You can keep everything together, build everything together. Like I have raised my kid together along with my company. So I welcome every girls here to become the new leaders who will build big for the nation.
Thank you so much. So, with that answer, we are about to wind up our discussion. So, hope you all get a brief idea about how you can start and where you have to focus. The problem and the solution, that's where everything starts, where you are empathizing for the solution. Then there are a lot more ways to identify how you can execute it and how you can build that startup. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry? Yeah, we'll move to that. Yeah, so if you have any questions, one or two questions we can take. We have few more minutes.
So I just told you that I used to score high ranks and high marks till class 10th. So what my parents and my teachers and even my PTA did is that they took me to another city. So I'm from a very rural space called Arikod. I got admitted to a school in a city in Thrissur. It's called IES, where students from a lot of global countries come there and learn. It was a boarding school. So I used to be the school leader of my school. I used to be the football team captain. I was into cricket, football, kabaddi, badminton. I used to participate in every game. I used to win trophies. I used to write both essays, poems. So I used to be the arts individual champions as well till class 10. So when I went to a school with a global perspective and global composition, I never got admitted into any school team. I never became rank 1. So that was the first time I tasted failure. But what really came into my mind was that it was not about competing with our peers and getting into the rank 1. It was competing ourselves and making X percentage of improvement day by day. Like every day we have to compete ourselves and make small increments, bettering us each and every day. So that kind of POV was given by one of my teacher, my maths teacher, and I was okay with failing in sports and arts, but I was never okay to score less marks in mathematics. Like that was true to my core and it was in full of my heart. Getting low marks in maths is never acceptable for me as a kid. So my maths teacher told me it's okay. You just scored 80 out of 100, make it 84 in the next time or 85, then 90, then 92. So that teacher taught me that it is never about competing with your peers. It's all about competing with you each and every day and making small increments or small betterment. So that's how I manage my failure.
I'll just add to that one point. So what I felt very significant is to separate failure from your identity. See, you did something, you failed. It's not that you failed, your attempt failed. Right? So that is very critical. Like you ran in a 100-meter sprint, you don't take it like, oh, I failed, I'm a failure. Your attempt failed, but you can win later. Video games. When you play a video game, do you stop for, I don't know, I mean, I used to play Dangerous Dave. That was a very age-old game. I don't know, Super Mario type. You play multiple times so that you reach the final stage. You take failure as a, how do you take failure in video games? As a disaster or as a challenge? Right? So it's the same thing that you have to do in your life also, right? The same thing. It's just differentiate. It's just that you have to try once more. That's it. I think you just need to have one person ask the question and then everyone starts.
When you first chose entrepreneurship as your career, how did you get the motivation or how did you know that it was the way to go?
I'll give a very short answer. It was, at least in my case, it's slightly different. It's not from college. I started after having my son. So it was a pretty late start. But I always wanted to start because as Ramees and Nimisha was saying in the beginning, right? Like you see problems around you and you keep cribbing about it. And then you say that one day you feel, okay, let's start, But the problem is that startup is a very expensive hobby if you don't do it right. So you have to plan towards it. You need to have the right, because the first time I wanted to do a startup was in 2012, but I started in 2018. So during that 6 years, I would say, I was trying to see whether I have the financial backup, whether I have the right network, whether I have the right idea, whether I can evaluate the idea is all good. It took time to be there, So from that perspective, I think the decision to start up was the moment I felt the small checkboxes checked, whether it's all there. As kids, I would say, I think the TiE always promotes that. There is something called business model canvas. You just go home, Google business model canvas. It has a, it's a block where it helps you identify. If you feel I have an idea, try to fill the blocks in the business model canvas. It's a paper, it's an A4 size paper. You can print it out and write all the elements in that. Answer the questions genuinely. If you are able to write everything genuinely and you read it, and you feel that your idea is successful, at least on a piece of paper, then I think you're serious about your idea. If you really want to start up, go to business model canvas, Google it, start filling your idea and see whether a solution is good or not. And for me, that was the starting point. I felt, okay, the idea is good. It looks good on a piece of paper. Let me go and resign. It's a very different decision to resign, but I did it. Yeah.